Hey folks, this is Jay and welcome to Deep Dive. Today with me, I have Dan, who's the brand design leader at Rippling, and he is going to show us how their brand design team uses Figma Buzz. Dan, super stoked to have you on.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for taking the time.
So, I'm looking at this thing now. So what are these? These are ad templates. What is it that we've got in front of us?
Yeah, so just to take a step back and how we really started thinking about Figma Buzz as a solution. Earlier this year, we started to go through a brand refresh. And as part of that process, we wanted to not only refresh the identity, but also think about how the brand was being used across marketing and think about better ways to get people access to different templates or different assets. And so we're evaluating digital asset managers, different template solutions. And really what we realized in having conversations with marketers is they just need to be creating stuff as quickly as possible. And what I'm showing you here is what we had previously in Figma design. This is before Buzz was even a thing. And there's just an accessibility issue. Figma design was very intimidating, over-engineered for what people needed.
So can you explain right there? So in this previous workflow, somebody from the marketing team would have to maybe zoom in on the 3D app icon library, take it, and then make the changes themselves, or ask you to make some changes to it.
Yeah, a combination. We tried to make these as simple as possible, but they weren't really created in a way that was truly flawless. So you can see turning on the logo, turning on a button works for some of these, but then gets a little bit funky in some of the other ones. So they just they weren't really built well. You can tell that some of these aren't truly templates. They're just bespoke ads that we turned into a thing that was a little bit more accessible. And then non-designers coming in here weren't really able to add the finesse that you need in terms of having overlapping text on illustrations, things like that, changing colors and all that. So it was a basic first pass at what a template library could look like.
So let's zoom in on one of them. So what you're saying is if you I think in one of them you toggle the option and then the spacing was off, I think somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you added a button and a logo, it just starts to get a little bit janky. But even stuff like this, you don't necessarily need this in a template. And this is just designed so specifically to this exact message, which makes it more of a bespoke ad and not a true template.
The reason I'm asking you is I'm trying to understand more of what does the handoff process look like between the brand design team and the marketing team. So if somebody from marketing would go back in the system and change some options, and obviously they are not designers like you, that they might maybe catch on to some spacing or padding issues. So in that case, would they just still run with that ad, or would you review it, or you would have to go in last minute and fix it?
Yeah, they'd probably just come to us straight away in Slack and say, hey, sorry, I broke it. Can you help me? And then a designer just has to pop into Figma and do some quick manual work.
Okay, this is very cumbersome, I think, for you.
Yeah, it's cumbersome, and it was a good first pass at what we needed. And I think what got us here is really years of working with the growth team and doing tons of different types of ads. And so we had a basic understanding of kind of what are the most reused ads that they're doing, like type plus an illustration, type plus a piece of UI, that kind of thing. So we had the right idea. And it was really more just this isn't the best tool for the job at the moment.
Tell me more right there. I'm a noob when it comes to growth. So you worked a lot with growth teams over the years. What are some quick tips you can tell me based on these templates? What works, what doesn't work? Maybe explain some behind the scenes psychology or reason why that works.
Yeah, I got a couple other files up here just to show how we've worked with growth in the past. One is on these 2-week sprints that were very much just they submit a brief, we output a bunch of different concepts. And so you can see that here. And this is what we look to when we're doing our audit, is just going back through a bunch of old files and looking at, okay, what have we been shipping? So here, this is a good example of this is something that could be templatized pretty easily, right? And doesn't actually need to be put into a sprint cycle. Growth can just put in their copy, grab an illustration and go. Same with webinars. This is very repeatable content. And so we were serving growth, working with them hands-on, but starting to see these trends over months and months of working with them. The other way we've worked with them is to do what we call these thematic sprints, where we did much more of a collaborative building of a brief, where we call out what's been working well, what hasn't been working well, who are we targeting, et cetera. And then we do a collaborative brainstorm session based off of the theme for the month, where,
My
we go and
God.
do all of research, look at competitors, what are they doing, what non-competitors, just like generally what are people doing in the space that might match this theme. And then we all kind of vote on, okay, what are we actually going to do this sprint? And then start to deliver that over the next couple of weeks and break it down into different concepts.
See some of the proof of concepts that came out from this, if you can. Just what is everyone thinking about? Oh, so bold text there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
But the theme here
Yeah,
was
I totally get it.
was credibility. And so we have just like a really big, bold stat about to seem like the leader in the space. Testimonials from clients. These are things that speak to credibility. The other thing is like all the awards that we've won and different ways to get into that space. This is really great for working with growth in a more hands-on way when you want to go broader than templates, right? This is conceptual work. You want fresh ideas. And sometimes what comes out of this is stuff that can be templatized, but hopefully what comes out of this is like really bespoke work that is going to be a little bit more attention grabbing. But there's a place for both in a marketing team, right? Like sometimes you just need to ship, and other times you want to take a step back and think a little bit more deeply.
Yeah. I just want to call out and give you kudos, Dan, that you did this, because one temptation could be that I'm just going to ask growth team what kind of asset they want, quickly mock it up in Figma and give it to them. But what you're doing is you're running a whole like brand sprint with them to come up with some new ideas and not just asking them specifically and be like pixel pushing.
I think it's for any brand designer who's joining a team, you need to spend some time in the boiler room before you even think about templates, because you don't really know what is required for your company. You don't know what's working for your company until you get hands-on with the work and do it for a while. So you really got to do that work, and then you'll understand what can be templatized and what can be expedited in your workflow.
I see. So now that you figured out, like maybe, like I'm trying to understand, like how did you make a collection of, hey, these are all the things that could be templatized? And was there some kind of like list or some kind of Excel document, or how did you track all that?
The other thing that's a really good question. The other thing I wanted to call out for anyone joining a company and who's going to be working on growth ads like this is you can actually go to the Meta ad library and the LinkedIn ad library, search your
wow.
company and just see what is the team shipping. And you just look at months and months of work that's being shipped currently in the past. And that's a really good place to go. You can see like we're doing a ton of incentive ads, right? So that's like a good idea for a template when you're thinking about that.
Can you even see the performance here? Because as a brand designer, when you're seeing all this, are you just looking at the aesthetics of these different campaigns, or are you also seeing out of all these ones, which ones perform the best?
That's what you got to go to your growth team and get the data. So this is just going to show you like what is actually live in Meta's system. They're not going to publicly show you what's performing the best. And same goes for LinkedIn. They have like pretty much the same thing, right?
Wow.
But once we did that, looked at all of the previous work that we had been doing, just put together like a really scrappy brief where we just started to categorize like all the different types of ads, like type only, big bold type only, a stat, a testimonial, a list, et cetera, and on like social. And then just bullet it out like what are the things that need to go into this ad to make it successful. And so that's how we just created this brief and then started getting going on making.
So these were just collections of what you felt were possible templates that could possible ads, or losing the word, but these were basically the shortlisted candidates for templatizing.
Yeah, and this is all stuff that was live in market over months and months and repeated Yeah, repeated stuff that was continuing to get pushed. So like looking at those themes and then differentiating between like things that are highly custom concepts versus like ebooks. There's always going to be another ebook that you want to throw into an ad. There's always going to be another headline that you want to put into an ad. And those are just like repeatable content types that are great candidates for templates.
And why did you break this down into smaller components? Because you could have just said downloadable content ebook, but then here you're breaking it down into 4 different like subcomponents like cover image, title, CTA, and logo. And you've done that for everyone.
Yeah, I think these are the things that we wanted to make sure that we're just like, these are the requirements that need to go into the ad, like just at a minimum. And then I think as we got into design, it's think about, is there room for a subhead? Is there room for body copy? Those are things that I think are up to the designer's discretion as they start building out templates. So you can see here, if you're building out a template that looks like this, maybe you don't really have room for subcopy. Whereas over here, you've given yourself that space. And those are good like flex points for templates because marketers want to test those things too, and see what performs better.
Yeah. So this is the brand audit. Like this, so you conducted this brand audit, right? And what happens after conducting the brand audit?
I mean, then we just got going to making. So we can dive in there if you want.
Yeah. I've never seen this before, like anyone showing this. So I'm just super excited that I'm seeing this.
So this is our sort of parent component file where we've put all of the different templates. So I'll just like cruise through. We have awards, competitive, ebooks, lists, like mock native UI. That's a pretty popular content type. Native social and like native reviews from G2. Like I mentioned, like news headlines, photos and illustrations.
So you went and created component for each one of them. Oh my God. Wow. It's unbelievable. Everything is a component.
Everything is a component set. The reason there's so many is because we want this to stay fresh for as long as possible. And so that was another goal is we don't want to be coming back in here every month just to add new templates. So let's do it all and give ourselves a really nice runway with this brand refresh and give marketers options to test and do a lot of different things and vary things up over a long period of time so that things don't get stale because growth ads just get stale really fast. But at the same time, there's only so many ways you're going to squeeze 4 people into a webinar ad. So there's a nice tension there that we're trying to balance.
What is the most complex component you had to create while creating these ad templates? Not complex, but like one with the most options maybe we can look at.
Yeah, I think it's probably these webinar ones. Because not only do we have a couple different options in terms of layout, but I just pull this over to the side and you can see what that looks like. Folks can set the different dimensions, and obviously this is all built with auto layout. They can select the different number of speakers. They can change the background, which I think is a really key way to keep this fresh over time. So one of the goals with the brand refresh was to not have, if I click back over here, this is a very strict color palette. It's dark all the time, dark. So one of the things we wanted to give, especially the growth team, is a higher performing brand and a longer lasting brand. So that means not always having dark all the time, having lighter tones as an option, having more gradients as an option. So there's just tons of different ways that between the background color and all the different layout options, you can see how this stays pretty fresh over time. And then they can swap out the logo if it's not a partnership thing. We have sub brands here that they can swap in if it's an IT, webinar, etc.
This is amazing. Quick question here. I'm nerding out. Did you have to like, after creating all the components, check each one of them? Because sometimes you create it in a rush and maybe as you're toggling different options, something breaks.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Oh my
and I
God.
think, so yeah, across all these different templates, there are going to be like a couple things we miss. And luckily we have a Slack channel, Aspirin Studio, where your marketers can come and just say, hey, I noticed this. And then we just go and fix it. But that's way easier than say, responding to, hey, I need a brand new template.
Yeah. Can they comment on that? You know how in Figma, we designers just comment and tag each other. So if you go to that Buzz demo and something's broken in the component, can they just like tag you there? Hey, this is exactly the thing that's broken. So then you know which component.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So now I want to see what is that view like, maybe for a different component, if you want to pick that we can look at. I'm trying to see like what is the, like this is how you structure the component, but then what is the view that the marketer sees on their end in Buzz?
Yeah, so this is Buzz. And pretty much we've set it up so that all they have to do is come to this change layout button. And then all of those options that are variants that we've set up appear here, and we've labeled them all like really clearly. And they can easily just turn off the legal text if they don't need legal
Wow.
text. They can turn off the CTA. They can change, like I said, change that logo to Rippling IT. We've linked this to our brand asset library so they can come in here and just swap illustrations really easily based on whatever content they want to have. And then they can go ahead and change that background too. So there's just a ton of different options, especially for something like this. Sometimes you don't want it branded, so they can do that.
Wow.
And then obviously it's still very easy for them to edit all their content over here.
Oh, so are they editing then on the left side, or literally like Figma, how we go on the canvas and edit there? Or I guess both. Okay.
They can do, it's kind of, these are non-designers. The comfort level is going to vary tremendously from individual to individual. And so Figma's provided both options to just make it a little bit more accessible.
I love this. So it's like essentially all the stuff we saw on the Figma canvas in the component toggle. It's like very similar to this, but it just, the UI feels, I guess, less intimidating for someone who's from marketing.
Yeah, exactly. So if I go back over here to the same component, you can just see all this stuff is laid out in the exact same way. So even when you're building this, you know exactly how it's going to appear in Buzz. And then you can just copy this. This is the Buzz template file that we have set up. And then you just paste it and you're done. You hit publish and that's it. So it's a pretty easy sort of maintenance process as well.
Wow. So now basically you don't have to receive all those Slack messages from marketing people. Can you do this in Figma? I don't know. I broke it. It's just like they can just do whatever they want with Buzz. Nice.
The feedback we've gotten overwhelmingly positive, that it is way more accessible. They're able to move faster. We see way less requests on the brand studio side. The last thing we want as a brand team is to be seen as a blocker or slowing people down. And when every single ad needs to be a ticket, that just slows things down. And like I said, all that previous experience has led us to a template system that allows marketers to just move really quickly and anticipates their needs across all these different options.
Oh my God. And then when you've already created something in Buzz, so if you go to Buzz and see something, like how do the marketers give feedback? So growth team comes in and they look at the component. They're like, oh, I like these 3 layouts, but then I want to change this thing. How does that creative process work if they want like a template customized or altered than what you have available in Buzz?
Yeah, I always think of templates as a baseline. It's a foundation. So marketers can always click in here and remove the guidelines, and then they kind of have a little bit more options. We have different type sizes set up so they can edit that. Like maybe they want this to be a little bit bigger or something like that. And that's fine. Like that's totally fine if they're comfortable like getting into the weeds a little bit more like that. Great, go for it. They want to customize where this sits, whatever those things. We want to allow that creative freedom to a certain extent, but I think these templates are made in a way that like generally they're still going to be on brand kind of no matter what you manipulate.
Oh, can you expand on that? Because let's say I'm a marketer and I don't have a background in design like you, and I go and I remove the guidelines like you just did, and then I change the font to something completely different.
Well, okay. I mean, obviously there's what is going to be considered on brand, but I think generally if you're just changing size, maybe you're swapping an image, those are the things that we see the most. Is I want an illustration that maybe speaks to my content and I'm not finding it in the brand library. I want to add another subhead or another thing of body copy. Those are more the things that people are doing with the templates rather than going totally crazy and being like, oh, I want this to be a script. People aren't really doing that.
The reason I was asking you that question was maybe there was a way where you could even limit the options the marketers see. Like maybe you could limit only 3 font options. So even if they try to remove the guidelines, it's still forcefully on brand.
Yeah, I mean that kind of happens here where this first dropdown takes them into our style, obviously into Google fonts, but this is starting to get pretty advanced. If they're really clicking deep into menus, I'm actually impressed. Good for
Yeah.
you.
I see a demo.
Yeah, just like the quick layout, I'm not going to lay everything out totally, but essentially you start by creating a component set, and then you'd name this your dimensions, right? And then it's pretty much up to you, like how you want to do things. I think what's really important, the way we've set it up, is we have some custom components just for ads here, and we organize them into sections. And what that allows you to do is once you come in here, you can create an instance swap. Let's call this background. We're going to come into our components section, backgrounds, and you can see it's already organized, right? I'm just going to select our primary one. And then once you go to preferred values, all you do is click and you're done.
Wow.
And then you just select your background component and link it. And then that's how you get them to be able to change their background, but it's all these on-brand options. They can't just select any color. It's stuff that we've pre-selected for them. And that gets back to your question of like, how far off brand is too far off brand. And this kind of keeps that guardrails on. And so Figma's done this in a really nice way where we can provide that flexibility, still keep it within the guardrails.
Now, when you create this component, I know it's a demo one, but how do you then publish it to that Buzz library that you just showed me earlier?
Yeah, you would just copy this, go to your Buzz template file and paste it in, and it's ready to go. And then you just publish your changes. And that's, yeah, it's super easy.
Oh, wow. And then when you want to share, like how as designers, we would share links to specific pages, Figma pages, specific like sections now, even if you want someone to go very so specific, do you do the same thing? Oh, I see. Wow.
The way that non-designers interact with this is they actually come home and they create a new Buzz file, and then they're prompted to jump into all of our different files.
Wow. Let's actually create one. I want to see like as quickly that whole process.
Yeah, then they can just browse pretty easily. Oh, here's all the different options.
So if you select maybe testimonial or one, I see what is the default view that you get. Oh, okay. So if you select long form, any one of them, or let's just
And they
pick
just
the
add it in,
template.
and it's kind of just like that demo.
that I was looking at.
Wow. Okay. They just got to now add their own text.
And so for this one, we just, hey, if you want it to be a Twitter X post, like whatever you want, you can turn that on, no big deal. This is a pretty simple one, right? So sometimes you're going to have simple webinars, super complex.
This is amazing. Oh my God. This makes, I think, the life of marketers super straightforward and simple.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal, right?
Roughly, like, any ideas on how much like time savings is like maybe this whole process has generated for you? Like maybe before you're spending 4 hours versus now, like less requests, maybe this much amount of time saving. Just rough ballpark. Curious.
I don't know how many hours, but I will say that we have an agency production partner, and we saw the number of requests just bottom out. Like they just disappeared almost overnight once we unveiled the templates to marketers. So that was at tens of thousands of dollars saved every month.
Oh my God. And there, because I really don't know how that works. So when you say like when the requests come in less, because I'm trying to figure out like why would it be more money saved? Is it because if they have the templates, it means
Growth teams were requesting ads from our production partner, and they work on an hourly rate. And so when the requests went away, that meant more money for other projects.
oh, okay, that makes so much sense because now they can self-serve themselves with all these options you created. Okay, got it. Thank you so much, Dan, for coming on Deep Dive and showing us how to use Figma Buzz.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey folks, this is Jay. It means the world to me that you watched this video. Let me know in the comments what topics you want me to cover in the future, and I will see you in the next deep dive.